Grief is literally a permission slip to grow. It is a part of your initiation process in this thing that we call life, in your journey. It is supposed to happen. Hey, you guys. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this because I uploaded a video. Let me show you guys what that video is. Something that no one talks about that happens when you have a loved one who's passed is memory loss. Since my sister passed away 4 months ago, I do not have the same memory. I just don't. Things will happen and I will forget immediately right after it happened. One of the things that repeatedly happens is when I say goodnight to my kids and we hug and we kiss, the whole thing, and I will literally forget that we did that. Like literally, I just went in my kids' room after about an hour of telling them goodnight and I did not remember that we said goodnight. This is like the third time. And I'm like, oh, you guys just going to bed and not even saying goodnight to me now? And they're like, Mama, we did. You hugged us and everything. Don't you remember you said this? And it is completely not in my memory. I mean, that's just an example, but this was not happening before my sister passed. Another thing that people don't talk about that happens when grieving is the shock. It's like it shocks you. It's like it shocks you out of time. Like my recollection of like a day and the times of a day, like it's not helping that everything's going faster right now anyway, but I am not present with time. Like I don't know 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, if it was a week ago, I cannot tell you. I am so off with, especially if I'm saying like, oh yeah, that was a month ago or that was so-and-so. Like I would say it was 2 weeks ago and it was like 5 days ago. I really do see time as it being very much an expandable thing, very much more of like space and just it being spread out across the board instead of like this linear process thing. I'm just not seeing the linearness anymore. Honestly, what I've been doing for the last 13 years plus on social media since Facebook started popping, I'm doing the same thing that I've done in all throughout my journey. I've always been a content creator or an expresser. I've always been an artist and someone that shares for the purpose of being relatable and letting people know that you're not alone and just being me. It's just who I am. I'm very expressive and I'm very open and honest. So that was the purpose of me sharing the video. And one thing that I have noticed since I shared the video, especially on my YouTube channel, and that I've noticed in general with just with going through my own feelings of grief for my sister, is that people are really disconnected. People will really project. One of the things that has been a constant advice or support thing for people to say to me, or let me name some things. It doesn't get easier from here. You're gonna be depressed for a long time. It's been 3-4 years for me and I still cry and I still can't get, like, just, I mean, honestly, guys, I've been a grievance counselor for over 10 years. I have been actively helping people with dealing with their deceased loved ones pass away. And I have also dealt with having my own deceased loved ones pass away before my sister. But I just didn't know that, that we really suck at supporting and like, just even the things that we verbally say to each other when somebody is dealing with death. Because I know I'm not the only one that had this experience because I've been talking about it. And my mom and my other siblings, we've all had this discussion like, do you feel like people's advice is like, you know, and this is not to say that this is everybody, because at the same time, I've had some really supportive people, really compassionate, really understanding people. But honestly, the people that understand the most are, and the ones who give the most like significant advice are the ones who also lost a sibling or lost a really close loved one and just happen to be an intentional, in tune person. But the everyday way that we talk to people about death whenever they are experiencing grief, it is really, it's not good, guys.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
When I talked about memory loss and this whole idea of like not really being in time and just kind of being in like this outer, almost like you're floating, like this outer body like experience when it comes to existence and time, you know, when I talked about that being a grief response, I also said in the video that this is natural. I also said that this is not something that needs to be fixed. This is not something wrong. And the reason why I knew that I was gonna have to say that is because it's like we kind of like, without even realizing it, we kind of down and like see someone dealing with negative feelings, low vibrational, sad, angry feelings, we see that as something bad. Like we see that as something that needs to be fixed. This is a big subject, you guys. This is a huge subject because it's not that it needs to be fixed. It's that it needs to be embraced. You need to go into those feelings. Feel those feelings. And this is one reason why I don't like the word positive. Like, I don't like when people say, oh, you're such a positive person. I kindly correct people when they say that I'm positive because I'm not here to be positive. I am here to be real. Being real is acknowledging those feelings. It's going inside of those feelings and it's not looking at those feelings in a judgmental, critical way like these feelings are not supposed to be here. Everything that you feel is just an indication of where you are, and it's help for you to pivot. Every single emotion that comes up, it's an indicator and a gauge for where you actually are in your life in that time, and it is an opportunity to pivot from that, whether it's a good feeling or a bad feeling. But it's not actually what we look at things as. It's not that. So I said that it doesn't need to be fixed. I didn't want you all to feel like this needs that like it's something broken. And people are in my comments like suggesting medication and like, oh my goodness, you're depressed. You need to go to therapy. And oh my goodness, I was just like, wow, like if I didn't work for the dead, if I didn't talk to souls every day, if I hadn't spoken to my sister like several times since she's passed away, I would be kind of messed up. Like having people just respond like, oh, you're depressed. Oh, it's the same thing that I went through. Oh, you're just going through this. You need some medication. I actually got some medication and it helped. Like, did you see me say that this is not something that needs to be fixed? You guys, listen, and I hope that if you are watching this still, this is going to just open up your pores and just seep inside of your cells to where you truly understand this. This reality that you are in, nothing in here is a mistake. You're not a mistake. Your kids are not a mistake. Your exes that you were with and the relationships that didn't work out, it's not a mistake. It is here for a reason. Nothing here is happening on an accident. There is no coincidences. Everything is happening how it is supposed to. Every single thing. Name one thing, and I'm going to tell you that's not there because it's not supposed to be there. So feelings of memory loss after, like while you're grieving or after, feelings of time being kind of just like lapsy and kind of floaty, these are not things that you're supposed to run away from. Think about the beauty in this experience where you realize that circumstances really don't matter. Because if they mattered, when you are dealing with grief, you wouldn't forget to pay your bills. You wouldn't forget that you have a meeting and so. It just shows you, it's such a beauty in showing you how much you can disconnect, even though it's not on good, happy grounds, but it shows you that you can and you will still live on. Perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. And if you are dealing with grieving a loved one and you find yourself having memory loss and feeling very spacious and very kind of just outer space out there, being more agitated, I mean, any of the things that come with that, embrace it. Don't tell yourself that something is wrong and you have to fix it. Why would it happen? I mean, the only way that you could be doing that, you can't also be having those judgments on the response of grief and then also say that you believe that everything happens how it's supposed to. You can't say that. It's a contradiction. And you also, even more so, can't say that those are natural responses. That's what you can't say. You cannot sit here and see someone going through those type of feelings after grieving, while grieving, and look at them and also say, oh yeah, it's natural. Yeah, that's very common. It's very natural. You don't believe that then. There's no way that you believe that, because if it's natural, then you know that this is supposed to be here. It's a template. It's a permission slip. Grief is literally a permission slip to grow. It is a part of your initiation process in this thing that we call life, in your journey. It is supposed to happen. Now, mind you, I'm speaking from a place of personal experience. I'm speaking from a place of counseling and, doing therapy for so many people that have been grieving loved ones. I'm also speaking from a place of an MDR therapist where I speak to souls all the time. They tell me this information. We always get this confirmation in our sessions. And I'm also speaking from someone who was channeling the deceased at a very young age. When I was younger and my cousin came to me when I was 12 or 13 years old, and she told me that death is a sacrifice. She said that it's a sacrifice for people to come together and to learn and to grow. This is what my cousin told me before I had ever experienced death or any kind of funeral. I mean, she was my first experience. And she comes to me the morning of her funeral to give me this information that we don't see death in the right way, that we don't talk about it in the right way, we don't celebrate it in the right way, we are completely lost and out of context with it. And I did not know what she was talking about because I had never been to a funeral. It wasn't until that morning that I went to the funeral and I seen how they did like the open casket and it made everybody even more sad. I seen how they played Amanda Perez, God Sent Me an Angel. That was her favorite song. That song traumatized all of us for years. I couldn't even hear the song because it was so traumatic at such a sad event and such a sad song. And I was like, oh my God, this is what she meant. So I am here to tell you, to remind you what you forgot. If you are grieving a loved one, it is a permission slip. It is not supposed to take you down this spiral of just anger and drinking and, developing habits that you don't want and gaining a bunch of weight. If you look at those people on those shows, there's so many cases that I've seen where you go through the person's life and you're like, where did you start overeating like this? Where did you start these habits? And they'll say when they lost their brother, when they lost their father or their mom or whoever. We have not been doing death the right way, guys. We do not talk about it. We do not give advice. It is so rare. And I'm telling you, I know this for a fact from so many different levels. It is so rare for a person to comfort someone verbally through their grief and actually say the things that are truly comforting. A lot of us are just like, we don't feel like explaining it wow, like that just made me feel worse. Like we don't feel like, you don't feel like telling the person that didn't make any sense or whatever. So you just be like, oh, thank you. But we're not really discussing how off and how wrong we are. Stop telling people that they lost somebody. Stop saying, I'm sorry for your loss. That is not true. The person did not lose anyone. Don't say that. I love you, but stop saying that, okay? You got to stop telling yourself that you lost someone. And see, this is where the ego comes in because humans want to be like, this is what a lot of you guys are probably already telling yourself. Oh, yeah, I already know that. When I talk about, and I was doing this before my sister passed away, I've always been talking about death because of my cousin who told me that we need to normalize the conversation of death. So I've been doing this. If you know me, if you've been rocking with me for over 10 years, my closest friends that I've been knowing since I was in middle school, they know that Dela is not afraid to talk about death. My mom always talked to us about death. It's a very natural thing. And when I say something like, well, going to the funeral and the way that we do it where we put this body in a casket and we dress up the body and we do the body's hair and the body's makeup and then we do this whole thing with the body and then we take pictures with the body and then we go to the cemetery and we bury the body and then every time that we want to connect with these loved ones we go back into the cemetery and we almost even feel guilt. People literally feel guilt if they haven't went to that cemetery where that body is. But I think all of us can agree. I think that most of us know that soul that you love so much, the effervescence of that individual that you loved so much, that you still love so much and still loves you, is not inside of that body. They're not inside of that body. And when I say this, people will be like, oh, yeah, I know, but still, it's just, yeah, but but still that you're doing is why everyone just grieves differently. Everybody just grieves the same. No, that's not what's happening. People are literally, their lives are going down the drain after a loved one passes. Their lives, their businesses are losing money. They are going downhill after a loved one passes. Life is worse than it's ever been for the rest of their life. And I know this because for a living, I take people into other lives that they've had to release the trauma and the karma from that life. And one of the number one traumas and karmas is grief. One of the number one things that I am helping my clients release that they've carried over here is when their loved one died in the other life. And they carried that guilt and that shame of, we didn't get to talk the last time, or I cussed them out before they died, or whatever. I ignored them before they died. That grief, that shame and that guilt, we literally carry those things over. And it's just coming from a lack of understanding. We don't really understand about death. You may know on the surface that that person's soul is not in that body. At the end of the day, I get it. I get that you get it. But if you are feeling guilt because you didn't get to sit with that body for a long time, if you are feeling like you have to take pictures of the body because that's a connection there's certain things. If you feel like I have to go and see this body at the cemetery or I am not doing, then no, you don't. No, there is no way. You are lying to yourself and it's a contradiction. So it's just a matter of us getting away from these traditional ways that we speak and that we go about things. Like, we're always saying like, oh yeah, well, it's okay if we still say it like that, but at least I understand it. It's kind of like, well, I might move like that and do that, but God knows my heart. No, baby, that's fake. You being fake. You're not being real. You're not keeping it real. Absolutely not. Because what you say is what you believe. What you believe is what you do. What you do is what you say. Like, it's all intertwined within each other. So you cannot say one thing about the grief and a death experience. You can't be saying, I lost someone, and then not actually believe and feel like you lost them. You can't do that. Now, you can say it. You can be like, well, yeah, I know that I say that I lost them, but I know that I really didn't lose them. But you're not telling the truth. You're not telling the truth. And going even further than that, to what's really, really important, because what's important is not even about the lies and the truth that we're telling ourselves. What's important is that you feel that brain and heart coherence is taking place, and you understand that you actually feel what you say. We're feeling what we're saying. So with you making the commitment to not say, I lost my sister, I lost my mom, with you making a commitment to no longer tell people that you're sorry for their loss, we as a collective and you as an individual will begin to truly understand and feel what it feels like to have a deceased loved one graduate and ascend, and them still be fully alive. Them still be so alive that you can see them, that you can feel them, that you can hear them with your actual ears.